Are these two exclusive iridescent inks by Diamine in collaboration with Cult Pens meaningfully different? Or is it just a darker version of the other? Cult Pens describes Maureen as blue with red sheen and Christine as blue-black with red sheen. They also say that the iridescent range is made specifically to Sheen, but that depends heavily on the paper, pen, and ink amount. Maureen was not originally given a poetic colored based name. Customers were asked to suggest proper names, but people liked the joke name, and the name stuck. Christine came later and were named after key people at Diamine who created the color. These two inks also happen to be the names of my dearest mother and friend, so this should be very interesting indeed. Now, if I could find a John ink, not John Hancock or any other John, just John, I would increase their sales by at least 3 bottles. Here's the problem with Maureen and Christine. On paper, they sound dangerously similar. One is blue with red sheen, the other is blue-black with red sheen. That sounds like a meaningful difference, or it sounds like Diamine found one very good trick and decided to sell it twice. Immediately, one can see that Maureen is brighter, louder, and more obviously blue. I will be looking with particular interest as to whether the red sheen takes over, and if the blue still survives. Christine appears to be darker, a more serious ink, more blue-black. I will be checking to see if this ink becomes more usable than Maureen, or whether the sheen turns into another monster ink. Maureen reminds me a lot of Diamine's German exclusive, Smoke on the Water. Doing my research, I came across Mountain of Ink's description of Maureen as pretty, but wished the flow was wetter, while also saying it was one of the better behaved monster sheening blues. At this point, Maureen is giving me the brighter, cleaner blue. Christine is darker, more restrained and probably more practical. But if you came here for drama, the question is whether Christine gives enough red sheen to stand apart. Christine was found to have average flow and that it could smear a little. Ensuring that the ink is dry is of paramount importance, and this goes for all inks. For all the swatches, I used a cotton swab. This I found to be the best way to lay down copious amounts of ink. Not that it is reasonable to expect any pen to lay down such a liberal layer of ink, but simply to showcase the ink's full potential, and because it is fun. And what better reason is there to do anything than because it is enjoyable? The writing samples were made with a sailor dip pen with a medium stainless steel nib. Under the light of the camera, the red sheen in the writing samples is clearly visible. This ink is dramatic, exciting, and perhaps very close to the personalities of the people I attached to these inks. And with that, I have chased away 2 subscribers. I just jest, of course. With sheening inks, even if they are blue, their use is limited. For private notes and for journaling, they are superb. In an office environment, dependent on the office you work in, they may be risky. But that, I think, is only one half of the story, as our whole lives are not solely devoted to the office, but in the pursuit of peace and happiness, especially in this modern society, which has been greatly neglected. Swatches are fun, but they can also lie a little. They show the ink at its loudest, its wettest, and its most dramatic. Writing samples are where the truth comes out. This is where we see whether Maureen and Christine are actually usable inks or whether they only look impressive when they spread across half the page. Inks for me provide this awesome escape, and the beauty of the colors is unrivaled in our modern day existence. The most pleasant and all-round complete package I found to be on Cosmo Air Light paper. The gliding of the nib and the crispness of the letters is thoroughly enjoyable, and that is why I, and indeed we, do what we do. But is Maureen and Christine different enough? Maureen should show as the cleaner, brighter blue. Christine should sit darker and more serious. But the real question is simple. Once you're actually writing with them, do they still feel different enough? On Yu-Sari, Maureen appears a lot more brighter, vibrant blue. Yu-Sari for Christine appears a darker, almost petrol blue, with lighter blue shading in the thinner strokes. In the side-by-side comparison, it is evident that Christine has the heavier red sheening. These are indeed sheening monsters. But if it's blue you're looking for, then Maureen is the ink to go for. In the upcoming video, we'll be looking at Diamines, Iridescink Robert and Philip, another two sheening monsters in the similar vein as Christine and Maureen. But these have different color sheening and will prove to be very interesting indeed. Well folks, that was Diamines, Maureen and Christine. Maureen, a lighter blue ink with red sheening, and Christine, a blue-black ink with red sheening. These two are indeed sheening monsters. There is variation between these two inks, but I wonder if there's enough variation to warrant two separate inks. So let me know in the comments below and in the poll that I will place in the pinned comment. I'd like to see what you, as fellow pen enthusiasts and ink lovers, think about this ink. The next video will be along the similar lines, but with Philip and Robert, also two sheening inks, and the same question will apply there. For sometimes I wonder if these inks are made not with a little variation, simply then to rename it and to sell it to us ink collectors and ink users. Well folks, that was another presentation of the Honest Nib. Look after yourself and take care. Until we meet again, bye-bye.